Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the 5 things that you need to know about this new moon in Aquarius happening on the 1st of February 2022. Now, if there are any other things that you think others need to know about this new moon in the sign of Aquarius, then please be sure to let us know in the comment section down below. Of course, I will be talking about 5, but I'm sure there are plenty more. So with all of that being said then, let's do this. Right, so the first thing that you need to know about this new moon in Aquarius happening on the 1st of February 2022, that is that it will conjunct the sun in Aquarius at 12 degrees, creating the number 3 in numerological terms. So here we are once again with another 12 degree new moon. Another number 3 new moon. 3, of course, representing things like curiosity, communication, creativity, clarity, wit, and playfulness. And so, during this new moon, it's a good time to set new intentions when it comes to our hopes and our wishes for the future, when it comes also to our non-conforming ideals. So, what are your hopes? What are your wishes for the future? What do you visualize? What ideas do you have as well? And how do you play around with your ideas? How do you sort of explore different options and alternatives? Can you be open-minded? Do these ideas feel clear, or maybe you can be a little bit too idealistic? Then again, perhaps you have a hunch, you can sense things, you have a fair idea of what will unfold, but at the same time, your notions are theories. Or you may even think in hypotheticals. Or maybe there are things that you would like to do differently. You don't necessarily want to follow the crowd when it comes to your future directions. Now keep in mind that Aquarius is a sign that is continuously looking towards the future, always wondering, always dreaming and wishing, and always gazing at the stars, at the sky. There's a level of hopefulness when it comes to Aquarius, and so during this new moon, perhaps you can ask yourself, what am I wishing for? What am I dreaming of? And am I considering what I want regardless of what the rest of society is doing? Now, with that being said, also consider the previous full moon that occurred in the sign of Aquarius, which took place on July 23rd, 2021. And this was so it was 1 degree, basically. It was a 1 degree full moon. So the number 1 in numerological terms representing new beginnings, inventiveness, creativity, and action. Perhaps during this time you were releasing when it came to Aquarius themes, or you were tying up loose ends. Maybe you were letting go when it came to the likes of theories, concepts, and creative ideas. But you were doing this with action and with drive, with some type of motivation and willpower. Or quite possibly, you were releasing things to do with disruption and detachment, but you were doing this with the intention of moving forward. You did this with the intention of creating something new. So, with that all being said, let's look into some examples. So let's say that this new moon is taking place in your ninth house, so looking at you Gemini, sun, moon and risings. Perhaps back in July 2021 you were releasing when it came to your beliefs, when it came to your further education, but come this new moon you are setting new intentions, new goals when it comes to these things. You wish to evolve in some way, or perhaps you plant new seeds that correspond with the changes that you would like to make in relation to your knowledge, in relation to furthering yourself, in relation to self-discovery. Maybe you're thinking of taking on a new course, for example, or you're thinking of trying something completely different, something that is totally outside of your comfort zone. Then again, it could be that you reflect deeply upon your beliefs and your moral compass. And as you do, you have your future direction in mind. You consider what your meaning is. Perhaps you contemplate the meaning of why you're here with greater introspection. And as you go inward, you have these many light bulb moments, flashes of insight when it comes to expanding your creativity or when it comes to your visions. Likewise, these ideas, these flashes of insight that you have, they can correlate with inventiveness and technology. Or let's say this new moon is taking place in your fifth house, so looking at you Libra, sun, moon and risings. Perhaps back in July 2021 you were releasing when it came to your creativity and self-expression. But come this new moon, you are planting new seeds in relation to these things. Perhaps there is something you would like to change or you would like to evolve. Maybe you are wanting to come up with an original idea, something that hasn't really been done before, at least not within your life anyway. And perhaps such an idea can change your future directions. Or perhaps you set new intentions when it comes to love and romance. It could be that you have non-conforming ideas that you would like to share, things you would like to try out and experiment with. Then again, it could be that you reflect upon the ways in which you have fun. So looking at the things you enjoy during your free time. Maybe you start a new art form or you seek to evolve past things that are outdated, or maybe you want to break the rules. And as you go inward, you have these light bulb moments, you have these flashes of insight that correspond with the future direction of your leisure time. Or let's say this new moon is taking place in your first house, so looking at you Aquarius, sun, moon and risings. Perhaps back in July 2021 you were releasing when it came to your physical appearance, when it came to your life path. But come this new moon, you are setting new intentions when it comes to these things. Maybe you have evolved past outdated strategies and actions, or maybe there are certain things that simply no longer align with your path, or even no longer align with your actions. Or maybe you are questioning things in a new way. It could be that you start something new in relation to your body even. There are changes you would like to make, or perhaps you plant new seeds that correspond with big life events. It could be that you're reflecting upon things like career, marriage, money, having children and so on. Or maybe you wonder about the meaning of these things. You start to ask yourself what you want when it comes to these things, how such experiences can impact your future. Or maybe you reflect upon your mission, your purpose. It could be that you have an existential crisis, which is common when it comes to you Aquarius. And so perhaps all of these light bulb moments, they start to happen. But you just get all of these flashes of insight, which again is very much common when it comes to you. The second thing that you need to know about this new moon in Aquarius is that it will conjunct the Sun and Saturn in Aquarius. Now Saturn will be at 15 degrees, so there's an element here of nurture and support, okay, which is very much present here because this 15 number creates the number 6 in numerological terms. Likewise, there's an element of family and domestic matters being highlighted. But also keep in mind that Saturn is associated with things like building and solidifying. So during this new moon in Aquarius, perhaps it's also communicating a message of freedom within family units or liberation when it comes to support. So this idea of thinking for ourselves or thinking independently, even within systems that have already been built, or the ability to support our outside of the box views, even if they differ with other people's. Then again, maybe it's about looking at the like-minded views that we share with people within our community as well. So looking at how we are different, but also how are we similar? How connected are we? What do we as a collective think? And so therefore, during this new moon, perhaps these are themes to reflect upon, to think about, to contemplate over. Maybe we are setting new intentions then when it comes to these things. So let's say, for example, that this new moon is taking place in your 10th house. So looking at you Taurus, sun, moon and risings. Perhaps you consider the future of the communities that have been built within your profession. So looking at companies and organizations that you work for, how do you see things playing out? Do you have high hopes? Are there common views that you share with these companies? Or do you differ greatly in opinion? Do your views differentiate from the company that you work for's views in a very, very big way? Maybe you set new intentions when it comes to the support you receive within your profession, or you start to reflect upon a new style of support which you can build upon over time. Or perhaps you see how you think differently, and so you set new intentions when it comes to your purpose, when it comes to your career. Maybe you want your reputation to evolve in some way, or you wish to seek after a social standing that corresponds with your new ideas. Or let's say that this new moon is taking place in your 6th house. So looking at you Virgo, sun, moon and risings, perhaps you consider the future of the communities that have been built within your occupation. So looking at the teams and the groups that have been built. And so you wonder how you differ, but at the same time, how you share similar views. Maybe you can see where you are supported, but you also set new intentions when it comes to how you do your own thing. So just doing your own thing. Perhaps you consider the future directions of your occupation, even if your working life isn't approved by your family. Then again, maybe you plant new seeds that correspond with your health and your well-being, but you think freely about this, okay? So if you wish to start a new fitness program, for example, which is something that I'm thinking of doing, you think independently, but you also consider how you can connect with like-minded people. Or let's say this new moon is taking place in your 2nd house. So looking at you Capricorn, sun, moon and risings, perhaps you consider the future of the communities that have been built when it comes to your physical safety, when it comes to security. So looking at the future of property, housing and investments, for example, or looking at the key players when it comes to finances and banking. Maybe there are ideas within these areas that you disagree with, or maybe there are ideas that you really do agree with. And so you set new intentions when it comes to such things, but you think independently. Or perhaps you wish to liberate yourself from particular financial structures that you feel are no longer supportive. Or maybe you wish to build on something new, something that you haven't thought of before, perhaps. In this way, you may have new creative ideas, new creative visions when it comes to your earning potential, ideas that can support your future financial gains. Now, the third thing that you need to know about this new moon in Aquarius is that both the sun and moon in Aquarius will square Uranus in Taurus. And the thing about Uranus is that it just went direct. So those innovative ideas we've been having when it comes to comfort, security, worth, and money, yes, we may feel inspired right now, especially given that the North Node has moved into Taurus as well. But during this new moon, as you are setting new intentions, you might run into sudden changes and disruptions, okay? Into some type of chaos. These events that may clash with your future plans and directions. Also, out of the blue moments that may threaten your security and your livelihood. Or disruptive emotions may have you overthinking. You might feel nervous or anxious because you feel uncertain about the stability of your future. So, let's say that this new moon in Aquarius is taking place in your 8th house. So looking at you Cancer, Sun, Moon and risings. This means Uranus is transiting your 11th house. And so on one hand, you've really been having these innovative ideas when it comes to your hopes and your wishes for the future. You've been thinking about your future stability and your financial position. But as you set new intentions during this new moon, perhaps you feel inner tension and stress because there are disruptions occurring. This could be an emotional matter or psychological issue that you're dealing with, or perhaps you feel nervous about the resources that you share with your significant other, or you feel shaken up because you're overthinking the future of your shared resources. This could be about a loan or a debt or a mortgage, for example. Then again, maybe out of the blue, you and your partner decide to have a baby, and this certainly will change your future plans. Or it could be that you experience sudden changes in association with loss, but perhaps you need space to process your emotions. Or let's say that this new moon in Aquarius is taking place in your 4th house, so looking at you Scorpio, Sun, Moon and risings. This means Uranus is transiting your 7th house, and so on one hand, you've been having these innovative ideas when it comes to your relationships. You've been thinking about the stability of your relationships. You've been going over your hopes and your wishes, the things that you really wish for. But as you set new intentions during this new moon, perhaps you feel inner tension and inner chaos because there are disruptions and sudden changes happening. This could be a family issue or a living situation challenge, or it could be that you feel overwhelmed emotionally and so you need some space, some time to yourself. Or quite possibly you feel anxious about your loved ones. You feel shaken up due to out of the blue events. Then again, it could be that a new addition to the family changes things. Or perhaps a family matter comes to a close, but it happens suddenly. So the 4th thing that you need to know about this new moon in Aquarius is that both the Sun and Moon in Aquarius will semi-sextile Venus in Capricorn. Now keep in mind that Venus will be direct at this point after being retrograde for about 6 or 7 weeks. And so there is a lot of reflection going on here when it comes to what we have learned from this retrograde. Venus is still, of course, in its shadow period. Not to mention, we are putting what we have learned from this retrograde to the test. But with that semi-sextile, perhaps there are some uncomfortable feelings and emotions that come up. And it's these feelings and it's these emotions that correspond with the lessons that we have learned. Or maybe it's about thinking of things in a new way. But still, it's these new thought patterns that can feel uncomfortable. So let's say that this new moon is taking place in your 12th house, so looking at you Pisces, Sun, Moon and risings. This means Venus is transiting your 11th house, and so whilst Venus was retrograde, you were reviewing the value and the quality of your friendships, the value and quality of your group involvements. But during the new moon, perhaps you wonder about the time that you need away from others, for example. Maybe you need your time in solitude if you are to have rewarding connections. Perhaps you set new intentions when it comes to these things, but at the same time, you feel slightly unsettled because you have some fears. Fears of letting others down maybe, or fears connected with living up to other people's expectations. Or perhaps something you learn during Venus retrograde is how to hold yourself accountable within your social groups. But during this new moon, you feel slightly uneasy. Perhaps you feel slightly uneasy because you are overthinking how fair or unfair you can be. But then let's say this new moon is taking place in your 11th house. So looking at you, Aries, sun, moon, and risings. This means Venus is transiting your 10th house. And so whilst Venus was retrograde, you were reviewing the value and the quality of your professional life, of your social standing. But during this new moon, you start to question your group involvements maybe. So how you participate within groups. Maybe you need to connect with your friends often in order to feel a greater and more rewarding purpose. Perhaps you set new intentions when it comes to these things. But at the same time, you may feel uncomfortable and uneasy because you fear that you'll fall behind professionally perhaps, or because you fear that you'll let your manager down or your boss down, for example. Or maybe something you learned during the Venus retrograde is what are you working towards long term? But then during this new moon, you might feel slight unease because there are social matters that need your attention. And the fifth and final thing that you need to know about this new moon in Aquarius is that both the sun and moon in Aquarius will sextile Chiron in Aries. So Chiron in Aries has been teaching us about our wounds when it comes to our identity. It's also been teaching us about times when we hold ourselves back and when we lack individuality and self-assertion, where we lack action, even though deep down we really, really want to do something. Chiron in Aries has also been touching on times when we put others before ourselves, even when we desperately want to be first. So looking at how we jump in and get things started, yet things like judgment, criticism, and ridicule can overwhelm us. Therefore, during this new moon, perhaps we can take this as an opportunity to address our emotions. To address our emotions when it comes to these things that I just mentioned in association with Chiron in Aries. And as we do, perhaps we can seek support, comfort, and reassurance. So, with that being said, let's say that this new moon is taking place in your 7th house. So looking at you, Leo, sun, moon, and risings. This means that Chiron is transiting your 9th house. Therefore, you've been holding yourself back when it comes to your future aspirations and your meaning. Perhaps there is something wounding about teaching or about broadcasting, or there's something wounding even about your beliefs. It could be that you've been judged or picked apart by others for the things that you believe in or for the things that you teach. Or maybe others have criticized your growth, your progress. But during this new moon, maybe you feel supported by someone you know very well, or by a client who sees the good in you, or by an associate who can clearly see the difference that you're making in other people's lives. Or quite possibly you plant new seeds when it comes to your relationships. There is a change that you would like to make, and as you do, you're able to fight through any doubts that come up with the help of a partner or a friend. Or let's say that this new moon in Aquarius is taking place in your 3rd house. So looking at you, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and risings. This means that Chiron is transiting your 5th house. Therefore, you've been doubting yourself when it comes to your self-expression and also when it comes to children, if you have any children, that is. Perhaps there is something wounding about putting yourself out there, or there is something wounding when it comes to your inner child. Perhaps you fear that others will judge you harshly for expressing yourself authentically. But during this new moon, maybe you feel supported by your peers, by your classmates, by your childhood friends, or maybe a sibling reassures you and helps you see the good in your character. Likewise, it could be that you plant new seeds when it comes to your studies, when it comes to your education. Maybe you are seeking to try something new, something different and very much outside of the box in comparison to what you've ever done before. And as you do, you work through harsh criticisms that can lead to inaction. Maybe your friends, they help change your mindset. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video all about the 5 things that you need to know about this new moon in Aquarius occurring on the 1st of February 2022. Now, like I said, if there are any other things that you think others need to know about this new moon, then please let us know in the comment section down below, but also let us know your thoughts and opinions on today's video overall down below as well. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And happy new moon to you. And I will be back with another video very, very soon.